In this lecture, we will discuss about the characteristics of foreign trade in detail. We will also discuss what are the major exports, what are the major imports of Pakistan. We will also discuss how Pakistan's exports can be increased. Now, first is characteristics of foreign trade. Uh, Before going into the detail that what are the characteristics of foreign trade, you should understand that X stands for exports. M stands for imports. If X is greater than M, we say that is trade surplus. If X is less than M, we say that is trade deficit. Pakistan is facing trade deficit nowadays. Why we are facing trade deficit? What are the characteristics of our foreign trade? We will discuss them now. They are mentioned here: export of raw material and semi-finished goods, import of machinery and industrial raw material, import of agricultural products, increased use of petroleum products, import of services and invisible expenditures, limited trade relations, international trade by private sector, unfavorable balance of payments, and last is unfavorable terms of trade. Uh, First one is export of raw material and semi-finished goods. Pakistan do not export finished products. Pakistan exports raw materials, uh, which are less expensive, which does not give sufficient export bill. We also are unable to produce finished products and we do not export finished products, whereas we produce semi-finished goods which are known as intermediate products. Intermediate products are those products which can be taken as an input and some output can be produced by those inputs. This is that when we export something that is less expensive, that is not a finished product, that means our exports would be lower. Second is import of machinery and industrial raw material. We are not a capital intensive country. Likewise, we do not produce machinery in our own country. We import all the machinery as well as we import the industrial raw material. When we import machinery which is expensive, so because of that our import bill goes up, and we also import industrial raw material which we do not produce in our own country. And importing industrial raw material is a necessity as well, because without that we cannot help our industries to grow. Third is import of agricultural products. We import agricultural products such as we import fertilizers, such as we import different type of seeds from international market. So we import agricultural products as well. Likewise, sometimes we import wheat, even if we produce wheat in our own country. We import, for instance, soya beans. There are certain products of agriculture which we import, which we, even after producing those products in our own country, we import those products because of insufficient quantity produced in our own country. Fourth is increased use of petroleum products. As you all know that oil and petroleum products are used everywhere in the economy. Transport, industry, agriculture, each and every sector of the economy uses this these petroleum products. Just for your information, 32% of the total import bill is based upon only oil. If we import products worth 100 million, 32 million is the bill of oil products only, which is very expensive actually. Import of services and other invisible expenditures. We import services such as foreign direct investment comes into the Pakistan, and certain servicemen comes to Pakistan. Certain banks have branches here. Their higher officials, they come to Pakistan and work here. So that is all the import of services. They provide services here and they charge us. Sixth is limited trade relations. We have limited trade relations uh, with international countries. We do not have unlimited trade relations. We do not have exposure to the markets which are beneficial to Pakistan. We only have trade relations with few famous countries like UK, US, Middle East. Uh, whereas, uh, whereas because of these limited trade relations, uh, our trade is in deficit. We are unable to send our products to the markets where we can get high amount of benefit. Second is international trade by private sector. Most of the industries in Pakistan, they are owned by private investors. They are owned by private sector. When they are owned by private sector, that means the decisions to export and how much to export is taken care by the private investors. Uh, and most of the international trade imports as well as exports are not under the control of the government. When they are not under the control of the government, government cannot regulate the amount of exports and imports. Eighth is unfavorable balance of payments. We have already discussed that in the topic of balance of payments. Last is unfavorable terms of trade. We have also discussed this point in the balance of payment issue. Here are the major exports of Pakistan: raw cotton, textile products and cotton yarn, rice, leather and leather products, carpets, rugs, tents, synthetic textiles, surgical instruments, sports goods, ready-made garments, vegetable, fruit and fish, engineering goods, chemicals, and pharmaceutical products. What we import machinery, we import petroleum, chemicals, vehicles and spare parts, edible oil, wheat, tea, fertilizers, plastic material, paperboard, iron ore and steel, pharmaceutical products. These are all the imports that we have. Last is how we can increase the exports of Pakistan, or how we can improve the trade structure of Pakistan, how we can eliminate the trade deficit. First is diversification of imports. We should diversify our exports. We should produce and try to produce diversified products. We should have those products which are specialized by us, and those are much needed by the world. Second is trade facilitation. Industries which are performing or which are taking part in exports of Pakistan, we should facilitate them. We should give them some benefits in the form of tax relief. We should actually give certificates of doing exports, or producing more and more so that exports could increase. We can also facilitate them on international fronts, being a facilitator to them so that they can have access to international markets. Next is increased market access. Increased market access can only be possible if we have more, or if we tap more markets in the world in order to send our products to those markets. If we tap more markets, our market access would increase and ultimately exports can increase. Fourth is enhancing export competitiveness by reducing cost of doing business. When the cost of doing business is expensive, cost of production becomes expensive, and cost of production is expensive. Because of that, our exports, they can be lesser in number. We need to increase the competitiveness of our industries by providing them the opportunity of having a low cost of production in the country. More industries will come in like this. They will start producing more and more. They will start meeting up the demands of the people of Pakistan, and they will be able to increase the exports by sending those products abroad as well. Fifth is capacity building on WTO and trade negotiations. WTO is World Trade Organization, which takes care of the world's trade structure, and every country has to comply with the WTO rules and regulations. There are some trade negotiations which can be done based upon that how much Pakistan can export, how much Pakistan can import, what benefits Pakistan can get out of the trade, what benefits Pakistan can have from WTO, what are the benefits other countries can have from Pakistan, so on and so forth. These are all the trade negotiations which are taken care by WTO. Sixth is developing export of services. Like we import services, we should export services. We should send our doctors. We should send our educationists and all learned person to other countries so that they may go there and they may earn from those countries and send back their incomes. Second last point is improving compliance of quality infrastructure. Uh, the infrastructure should be up to the date, and that should be according to the needs and requirements of international standard, so that we may produce the products which meet the standards of the world, and world starts buying those products from us. Last is techno-legal proposals. We should discuss our proposals with other countries. We should discuss our problems with other countries. If there are some legalities in all those exports and imports, we should solve them on priority basis. So the legal environment with the countries should be up to date and up to the mark, so that we can have smooth import and export structure with those countries. In this in the topic of foreign trade, we have discussed that what are the characteristics, what are the problems in the trade of Pakistan, what are the major exports and imports, and how we can increase the export, or how we can actually reduce the trade deficit.